Hey everyone, welcome back to Open Remote. Songwriter Sunday is an open mic event that's going to showcase artists throughout New York City in an effort to support the community during our current times. The COVID-19 crisis has left us all in a state of survival, leaving those already in need in dire straits. The Songwriter Sunday's donations are going to go to the People's Food Program to assist with providing food and supplies to Bronx residents. And joining us to share more, we welcome Songwriter Sunday founder, iamchelseaiam, along with co-founder of Black Lives Matter Greater New York and New York candidate for the 15th Congressional District, Chivona Newsome. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And so let's talk a little bit about the conditions of the Bronx in this present state and why you've chosen to dedicate yourself and your talents to this movement.
Sure. I know for myself, Songwriter Sunday, we've been around for about 5 years. It'll be 5 years in November. But the last year we've been in the Bronx at a location called I-9 Bistro on Bruckner Avenue. And for me personally, if I'm in a space where I'm not only sharing my talents, I'm also sharing that space with the community. And that community supports us. So I want to be able to support them as well in any way possible. And I saw that this movement was happening through a friend of mine. His name is Descendant. He's very involved in it already. And in trying to figure out what I could do to support the community. Thank goodness I was linked to Miss Newsome and this organization.
Yeah, let's talk about your connection to Miss Newsome, to Chivona Newsome, who is one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter Greater New York, and how this connection happened.
Well, yes. Descendant is, oh, sorry.
No, actually, I was looking to speak to you, Chivona.
Descendant has played an integral role in my campaign. He had done a music set for one of my fundraisers, and he's been canvassing and on the ground. He's calling around, helping with peers, so he paired us together.
Got it. And I also know that you come from a background of social justice, and so aside from running for Congress, this has been your movement anyway. This is what you're about.
This is who I am. It's an organizer and an activist, and I hate to keep jumping back into the race, but that's how we realized the needs. We were doing wellness checks on my future constituents, and we asked them if they needed anything, and they didn't have food. So what we did was we put up on the website a bunch of resources, and we paired with our local food banks. And we've been going out and doing deliveries, because a little bit about the Bronx and my neighborhood where I live, we are the poorest congressional district in the nation. So with or without COVID-19, people are struggling to eat.
To begin with, right. And Chelsea, can I ask you, how has this been for you transferring everything from a physical form into a virtual form?
It's been very interesting and fulfilling at the same time. I mean, of course, we're all dealing with the difficulties. I hosted on Instagram Live, and people have to request to be a part of the video. So I share my screen, and then again, they'll start to share their talents. I think the positive of that is, whereas we were only located in the Bronx before, we're now technically located worldwide.
That's interesting. That's an interesting concept right there, right? And so you're saying that the way you're setting this up is so that people come and then they join in because it's an open mic. So walk us through it a little bit, because the idea is that this is a fundraiser, and it's obviously for this certain section of the Bronx, and you're going to be funding the People's Food Program. But the idea is also to bring new people together, and I'm interested in knowing how you're going to be able to even keep track of like who's next and how that lineup is going to even flow.
So to be honest, we've only done it one time before online. The way that we did it before is that there's a way that you can pin a comment. So the way I would proceed is I would pin a comment for the Cash App and the Venmo information. And then I was telling people, drop a heart if you'd like to perform. In my own area, I would be making note of who said they wanted to perform. And then I would say, okay, up next we have this person, and on deck, like, make sure you're ready. Rhina, make sure you're ready to perform, right?
Is that an invitation?
And then I would request that they join the live and they perform a song or two, and we keep going. In this instance, I've also been telling everyone that I will be matching funds up to $100 personally, just to make sure that people are really driving in and making those donations.
That's wonderful. Bless you. Bless you. Chivona, you know, there's a lot of people running for this particular congressional district. And I know, as we already discussed, this is part of your background. This is part of your upbringing. How do you feel the response has been to this district based on our current circumstances with the COVID-19?
A lot of people are losing relatives, like across the street from me. And if you look at the maps that the city are putting out, the district is the primary hot zone of who's being affected. Black people and people of color and poor people are disproportionately being affected by this. So last night, we released a letter on our social media platforms and a petition to the governor, Governor Cuomo, asking that they release the numbers. So not only were my future constituents and my neighbors and friends in a food desert, right now, Black people in New York City are dying at an alarming rate, and the federal government and the state and local government does not want to release those numbers. So it's pretty sad. All the pre-existing issues that people had from being poor and being Black, it's having an adverse and terrible effect with fighting the COVID virus. Right here in the Bronx, we have something called Asthma Alley. As we know, people with asthma, they don't really heal well from COVID-19. They're sicker. They're the most vulnerable. So it's just the added on negative. But people like Chelsea, who stepped up, who wants to organize this amazing event, our whole host of volunteers, movers and shakers, Black Lives Matter, Greater New York, everyone's come together for the People's Food Program, because we're not doctors, so we can't heal them, but at least we can help you with your food in terms of getting your medication, feeding you, and working with local food pantries. As of right now, we've already fed hundreds of people, and with Chelsea's awesome idea and this fun event that we're having on Sunday, hopefully we'll be able to feed hundreds more.
Awesome. Chelsea. So I'm really, I applaud you for making such strong efforts to not only unite everybody, but to be a stand for your community. The fact that you're matching this funding as well is really, that's impressive. So if anybody wanted to lock in, right, because this is going to be happening on Sunday, do they need to follow you, or they just can go to Instagram Live? How does that part of it work?
So you would follow me on Instagram. My Instagram name is iamchelseaiam. I am Chelsea spelled like the neighborhood. And then it'll be like on Instagram, there's a ring that sort of like lights up. So my profile will light up at 7:00, and we're going from 7 to 10.
7 to 10. So how many people do you anticipate giving space for? Or, that are going to be able to perform? Let's say they get on at 7, like, is there a sign up time, or are you just rolling it as it flows in?
I usually just do it as it flows in. I'm thinking, like, honestly, a typical night, we could do 20 to 25 people, depending on what's going on, unless nobody gets carried away with what they're doing. And I hate to cut people off, but sometimes I have to.
Right. And so, but because it's an open mic, are people just free flowing, or they're coming in with their lyrics, they're coming in with their musical instruments, or they're spoken word artists? Like what kind of mix is this?
It's majority, generally it's mostly spoken word and musicians and singers. In the past, we've had comedians, but any type, whatever your discipline is, it's welcome. It's welcome.
That's lovely. All right. That's funny. You're like, oh, we've had comedians. I didn't say anything about comedians, but it's okay. I got it. Okay, so Chivona, before we go, because I know Chelsea's going to give us a little taste of what she's going to be bringing to the forefront. Do you have any last words?
We have a whole resource for COVID, for coronavirus on the website, local food banks that we're currently utilizing, mental health, because that's important. We've currently been on lockdown for about 20 days, where you can go and get tested. And you can find all these resources on Chivona Newsome for Congress.com, or we have it available on all social media platforms at New York Vonnie, that's BONNI. And thanks for having me. Keep fighting the good fight with me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for being a stand for our community. And don't go anywhere, you guys, because we're going to take a quick break. But I am Chelsea. I am. She's going to perform for us. So don't go anywhere.